Namaste everyone. So my name is Dr. Taru Jindal. I'm a gynecologist by profession. So today we are going to be talking about breastfeeding, some myths, some skills, like really help parents, families, and even professionals here. India is traditionally known as a breastfeeding country, right? And it's not something that's very new to our culture. That's what we do. However, if you look at the statistics from India about breastfeeding in the last 10 to 20 years, you'll be surprised. You'll be like, are these statistics of India or are these statistics of some European or American country, right? To just give you an example, the number of women breastfeeding within the first hour of birth, because that is called as early initiation, and it is one of the most important things that you do to give a good start to breastfeeding, and we are going to be talking about it today. So what was the rate in NFHS 4, which was 2015 data? It was 41.6% of women. And now, which was 2020 NFH 5 data, 41.8% women. What is the difference? 0.2. We really haven't even looked at this. Women struggle later on, but we don't realize it's the first hour of birth that is most crucial in giving a good start. So even though more than 80% of women are now delivering in hospitals, we cannot blame the dai, we cannot blame the mother-in-law. Who can we blame? So instead of using the word blame, I would say responsibility. If more than 80% women are delivering in hospitals, then the responsibility of these statistics are on healthcare workers. Why is it that only 4 out of 10 women delivering are breastfeeding in the first hour of birth? This is the sorry state of breastfeeding in our country. If you talk about exclusive breastfeeding in the first 6 months of life, which is like super important for a good start to a baby's intellect and nutrition and health and immunity, then 54% of babies were breastfeeding exclusively in the first 6 months of life in 2015. It has risen to 64% now. So now we see that something is not right even in community support for these women. Only half the women are breastfeeding exclusively. What is happening to the rest of them? So as you can see, the breastfeeding statistics are not at all encouraging. And that's why I realized the importance to support women in this field, because lately it's all becoming nuclear families, right? We are not staying in joint families. We don't receive the support from extended family, especially in COVID era, when, even the mother-in-law and the mother couldn't travel to live with a woman to help in breastfeeding. So she was just left alone with her husband, to fend for herself. And that's why it becomes extremely important to talk about breastfeeding in today's era. Let's not talk about 40 years ago. Let's talk about the statistics of today. Let's talk about working women. Let's talk about lack of family support. Let's talk about lack of maternity leave. Let's talk about lack of crashes in your work areas. These are all the things we need to talk about today, and hence this becomes an incredibly important subject to discuss in today's times. The unit of a couple, it kind of breaks away after birth. It's all the women who come around the pregnant girl or around the delivered girl, and suddenly the husband is told, oh, you just do your own thing, you take care of your work, we'll take care of this. So suddenly the unit of the couple kind of breaks away for a few months, and this woman starts to feel so alone and unsupported, because very often she may not have that relationship with these ladies around her. It could be the mother-in-law, it could be a mom, and she might feel that these ladies are speaking from their own generation of 30 years back, and somehow they're not able to get the perspective what she's trying to say today. And that's why involving the father in the immediate breastfeeding journey is so important. So let's first speak about the father. There is a research that's shown, of course, men have high testosterone in their body, and that's why they are males. But when a male, immediately after birth, within maybe 2-3 hours, get skin to skin contact with his own baby, like, really open his shirt and do the skin to skin contact, then the level of oxytocin hormone, which is the nourishing love hormone in the body, and that is what is responsible for ejection of milk in the mother, that increases in the male, and the testosterone level falls. So a male who receives skin to skin contact early with his baby gets to work with his baby, change the diapers, help the mom in positioning, do some cleaning work to do with the baby, then it is shown that the nourishing behaviors of fathers has increased over time, as opposed to fathers are just not included in the breastfeeding journey. So that's why I say first hour on the mother's chest, second hour on the father's chest, and maybe third hour on the sibling's chest. And hence the whole family and the father needs to come together to inform themselves. And the time to inform yourself is not after the baby is in your hand. It's too late. The time to inform yourself is during pregnancy. Those 9 months when there is so much of joy, happiness, and just thrill of pregnancy, you're free. Why not prepare yourself in breastfeeding skills? Unfortunately, most of the antenatal work that's done, it's only about the abdomen. It's only about checking the baby's heart rate, ultrasounds, blood work. Why are we not using the time to sit the woman down and talk about simple breastfeeding positions, simple breastfeeding holds, what to do about the first 3 days when she's having the stitches around her? How will she position herself? Why don't we talk about these things during the first 9 months? And that's why even BPNI, which is Breastfeeding Promotion Network of India, it has now created an antenatal portal for women to get informed in breastfeeding. It's called as I Decide. And the second thing is, I have helped create an antenatal breastfeeding course for women who are pregnant to prepare themselves in breastfeeding. It's a beautiful course I created with the help of some other experts at Nourish 1000 Days. So that also can be looked at. So first is the woman being informed that the first hour is super important. If the woman herself does not know, then she doesn't push for it. A lot of our hospitals, what is happening in the delivery wards is, the moment the baby gets delivered, the baby gets passed on, the cord is cut, the baby gets passed on to the nurse, baby is kept in the incubator till the time the gynecologist or the doctor is taking the stitches or kind of removing the placenta, in giving her a cup of tea or something. And by this time, at least half an hour to 45 minutes are gone. And after that, the baby might be brought to the mother, or simply they might just shift the mother and baby out to the ward. So the breastfeeding actually starts after first hour, and that's why we have those statistics of only 4 out of 10 babies getting breastfed in the first hour of birth. Now, why is that important? Let's realize when the baby comes from inside the womb, baby is kind of sleeping inside during daytime usually. Baby comes out, and in the first hour of birth, the baby's reflexes are the most active, baby is most alert. So if you get the baby to breastfeed in the first hour of birth, it's most likely that baby might end up getting the first breastfeed. However, if you bypass the first hour, baby is just going to get into a prolonged sleep because of the fatigue of labor. And then all you will do is keep waking up the baby, and baby's just not getting up. And then everyone is like, oh, the baby's not getting up, baby's not getting up. The mother's breasts don't start to get drained. There is no stimulation at the breast. The oxytocin level does not rise. It's just a series of negative events after that. Most important, another thing in the first hour of birth is baby is born without any bacteria on the skin, because baby is almost being grown in a sterile environment. But when the baby delivers, if the baby is immediately, instead even cutting the cord, just put the baby on the mother's chest and let the baby stay on the chest at least for the first 1 hour. The baby must be supported with the help of a caretaker or a ward assistant or a father, so that the baby doesn't fall from the bed. If we just ensure the baby is hanging around here while the delivery of the placenta is going on and the stitches are being taken, then this baby kind of has reflexes to smell the milk on the areola and even to look at this enlarged areola. Baby doesn't have good vision, so it can just at birth, so it can just see the black and white thing here like a target, and it just gets attracted to this. So it's the smell, it's the touch, it's the sight which helps the baby get attracted, turn towards one of the breast and start latching. So in fact, this is called as a breast crawl, and the baby takes its first feed in this position absolutely perfectly without any assistance. This is called as breast crawl, and it is an innate reflex of the baby to do this. This has many advantages. Obviously, there is a lot of stimulation on the mother's breast initially, helping a lot of oxytocin to come out, and immediately milk starts to come, which mothers say, oh, milk doesn't come for 3 days. Not true. Secondly, baby gets the first breastfeed before the baby is separated. So, kind of there is no problem of low sugars. Second, when the baby is moving on the mother's chest, there is a lot of painting of good bacteria from the mother's skin on the baby's skin. These are healthy bacteria that prevents infection on the baby. And lastly, it is said that the mother's chest can control hypothermia. Hypothermia means, the baby becoming cold. So we don't need an incubator. A mother's chest is as good as an incubator. And that's why we have the concept of kangaroo mother care. So breast crawl in the first hour of birth is the greatest game changer for a good start. And this can even be done during cesareans when the baby is just kept horizontally on the chest when the cesarean is being going on here. Just keep a screen here. We have often shown and often seen by the time the stitches are over, baby has already completed the first breastfeed, right? Unlike once the baby is shifted, baby is sleepy, very difficult to get the baby to latch on later. So this is the beauty of breast crawl, which if the mother knows, she will go and speak to her gynac, she will go and speak to the anesthetist and the doctor, the pediatrician, and say, hey, I want breast crawl. So doctor will be like, okay, we don't do this routinely, but for you, maybe we can do it. Or maybe let us start reading about it so that we can do it for you. So let's be informed so that we can talk to our doctors even before delivery and prepare for the first hour. Otherwise, the routine thing might just happen. It is also possible that even though the mother has informed herself with a lot of things prior to delivery, but there might still be some issues she's facing. So once she gets home, the best person to contact is someone called as a lactation consultant or a lactation expert or a breastfeeding expert. So initially, this was not a special field in India because it was just thought that the pediatricians and the nurses and the gynacs will take care of this. However, we've seen that they all tend to be super busy. And that's why in the hospitals also, they don't have enough time to support mothers in breastfeeding. So the role of a lactation consultant has really grown. A lactation consultant just focuses on breastfeeding support. So there are many hospitals in India and abroad which are called baby-friendly hospitals. Baby-friendly hospital initiative was launched in India, and it's a program wherein hospitals can get an accreditation of BFHI, Baby Friendly Hospital Initiative, which has a set of rules, a set of recommendations which the hospital has to follow. And if a hospital is BFHI certified, then it's more likely that the practices are for the baby, like zero separation after birth, breast crawl, keeping the mother and the baby together at all times, ensuring there is a lactation consultant in the hospital to help the mother start breastfeeding and ensure she's breastfeeding well by the time of discharge. After delivery, once a woman gets home, of course, the support of doctors is, not acutely felt. So who you need is a lactation consultant at that time. There is something called as on-demand feeding. Just as like I will not give you food every 2 hours, right, or every 4 hours. Only when you feel hungry, you will come and ask me, okay, I need food. Or if I force food in your mouth, will you be able to eat when you're not hungry? Similarly, just as our breakfast, lunch, and dinner times are not the same every day, for a baby to force force breastfeeding on the baby every 2 hours is just not fair when the baby is sleepy, because sleep is a time when the baby's body is secreting growth hormone and the baby actually grows during sleep, right? So it's not good to interfere baby's sleep and just feed by the clock like every 2 hours. No. So this is called as on-demand feeding, in which you wait for baby's demand. How will the baby ask for milk? Baby cannot speak. So there are some hunger signals that the baby will show, which the mother must identify and try to breastfeed when the early hunger signals have come. For example, the early hunger signals will be the baby trying to find the breast like this. Baby will just be trying to find the breast with the mouth. The second is baby will be doing some mouthing movements. Third, the baby will be trying to put the hand to the breast, trying to suck the hand. These are some early feeding signs. If you've kept the baby in a cradle or you've handed over to a mother-in-law or someone, you'll just not identify, and that's why it's important to keep the baby on your bed so that you can see the hunger signs and try and feed the baby immediately when the baby is showing early hunger signs. If you wait till the baby is mad with hunger, it's impossible to latch the baby. So crying is the last sign of hunger. That's something we have to understand. Don't wait for the baby to scream and howl and cry. It's almost like you telling your mom, hey, I was waiting for 4 hours to feed. What were you doing? Now whatever you make, I'm not going to eat. Right? So early hunger signs, mid hunger signs, late hunger signs. In the mid hunger signs, baby starts to do some squeaking noises, move hands and legs, do some cycling. That's mid hunger signs. Get the baby to feed. So that's on demand feeding. But we don't practice on demand feeding in the first 14 days of life, because in the first 14 days of life, the mother and the baby are very new to each other. They are not really able to identify the hunger signs. The baby is still regaining birth weight. Baby loses a bit of the birth weight in the first few days because most of the birth weight is water, right? The absorbed amniotic fluid, and the baby loses that through urine. Birth weight actually starts to fall, and then with good breastfeeding, it will rise within 14 days back to birth weight, right? And then the baby will start gaining. So in this time, we roughly say try to start waking the baby by 2 hours, and then doesn't wake, 15 minutes later try again. So every 2 to 2.5 hours try to breastfeed, because you're just not sure of what is happening. Sometimes baby may just go for a prolonged sleep of 6 hours, and then you don't know, that might be because the baby's sugars are low. So that is what we see in the first 14 days. However, after 14 days, no feeding by clock. That's the first frequency of breastfeeding. Second is, do you feed from one breast or from both breasts? How do you do it? So let's realize, initially the milk that comes out from the breast is called as foremilk, or it is a milk that is full of water. So this is like buttermilk for the baby. So it takes care of the baby's thirst. Once that water is gone, what comes is like chickena fat, and that takes care of baby's hunger. So if you just breastfeed for a few minutes from here, few minutes from here, few minutes from here, what are you doing? You're just feeding buttermilk to the baby. Baby will be drinking like 4 glasses of buttermilk, will be satisfied for some time, will sleep off, in half an hour be hungry again. So if you don't give the hind milk, which is the fat-rich milk, for hunger, then your baby continuously get up every few 30 to 45 minutes, and that's a common complaint of mothers. So important to empty one breast first. If required, give the next breast. If the baby takes it, doesn't take it, okay, takes it half, okay. One breast should be emptied. How do you know it's empty? Baby will by itself delatch, will not stay on the breast because there's no milk. Second, if you just press the breast and see from afar, not here, just from afar, you will see maybe 1 or 2 or 3 drops of milk coming, which means your breast is empty. And third is, you'll start to feel light. Sometimes baby just wants a snack, so may just take one breast. Sometimes the baby really hungry might finish both breasts. So breastfeeding duration in every feed will change. Do not stick to 20 minutes, 25 minutes, or 30 minutes. As long as the latch and position is good, just go by what the baby is doing. The third thing is how long. So in the first 6 months of life, the baby's intestines are like sponge. They are very porous. And that's why introducing any outside water, any outside food or milk can introduce infections, can introduce allergy causing substances, especially cow and formula milk. It has cow milk protein, which has been known to cause allergies, asthma, autoimmune diseases in the babies later on in life if this is given in the first year of life, because it's so transparent in the first 6 months. That's why we should be practicing exclusive breastfeeding, means 100% breast milk even in summers. Your baby will just feed more, that's all. It's just take more for milk. You don't need to give water. No honey, no herbal medications, nothing. This is exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months. After 6 months, the baby's nutritional needs are not fully satisfied by breast milk. We need to start adding solid food, not liquid food. Solid food. They say if you pick it up with a spoon and turn it, it should not like quickly drop. It should just form like, just two big drops here of food. Shouldn't fall. And that's the consistency that you should give. And first year, it is said that only 30% of nutrition comes from solids, 70% comes from milk, your own breast milk. Continue breastfeeding till at least 2 years the way you were breastfeeding in the first 6 months. So we are complementing solid food. We are not replacing breast milk. So breast milk goes on demand as many times as baby needs. It's just complemented on top of it by solid food, and this is what is recommended till at least 2 years. Many of my patients are now breastfeeding even for 3 to 4 years. So it is said that even after 2 years, if both of you want to do it, you can decide, the mother can decide how many feeds to give. Till 2 years, it's the baby's decision. After 2 years, it's the mom's decision. How many times? If you just want to feed once in the morning, go to work, come back and feed once in the evening, 1 or 2 times at night, that's also fine. Your breast is going to concentrate all the immunity, all the intelligence, and all the nutrition in just those 3-4 feeds. Continue as long as possible. So that's the thing about duration of breastfeeding. So that's why it said that till 2 years, first year 70% breast milk, 30% solids. Second year 50-50%. Third year, nutritionally, breast milk contributes to 30%, solids contribute to 70%. However, the immunity and the brain fats in milk are the reasons to continue breastfeeding even after 2 years. So till 2 years compulsory, after 2 years preferably, or as much as you want. Bottle unfortunately has become very common because mothers tend to think that at night I need rest. A caretaker can give the bottle. So what is wrong with the bottle? The first thing is, no matter how much you sterilize this, there will still be some bacteria on it. So there are chances of infection. Second, it just breaks the relationship between the mother's breast and the baby. And that's why, the feel of the chest, the feel of the breast, it's all gone with the bottle. Third, it is said that if you even give one bottle feed in 24 hours, your baby might simply stop and refuse breast milk. Why is that so? Because let's understand the mechanism. Milk doesn't just flow out from the breast, right? It has to be sucked out. Baby has to make a vacuum seal and suck the milk out like a suction pump. So milk is not automatically flowing out from this. So it's hard work. Is this hard work good for the baby? Yes. Oral muscles really get the gym, and this develops, your ear muscles develop. So when the ear muscles develop, this tube, eustachian tube, becomes really strong. So even when you lie down and breastfeed, like mothers lying down and breastfeeding like this, that even if a drop of breast milk starts to go here to the ear, it will immediately close. So breastfeeding in lying down position is not at all an issue because these muscles are really developed to prevent the flow here. However, what happens with the bottle, the moment you tilt it, milk just starts to leak out without control. And the baby is like, what's happening? Oh my God, so much milk in my mouth, right? And the baby just gulps and gulps and gulps. And because of that, sometimes the milk just goes in the air pipe and the baby can choke on it. So the bottle fed babies, mothers have said, oh, the baby does this tuska or this choking noise because of fast flow. The second issue is gulping, gulping, gulping. These muscles are not exercised well because the baby has to make no effort to drink. So milk easily goes into the ear and causes ear infections. That's why lying down and giving the bottle is a problem. Lying down and breastfeeding is not a problem. So this overflow and over fast flow can cause choking, ear infections, infections from bottle, and finally break of the bond between the mother and the baby. And finally it is like a lift. When the baby can get the lift, why would the baby climb the stairs? So baby kind of gets confused. I don't know how to drink. Should I make a suction and drink, or should I just swallow? So baby, it's called as nipple confusion or preference of the fast flow of milk. Like he's lazy, right? Why do I want to make effort? So just one feed of a bottle can just cause breast refusal, and then it's a task to eliminate the bottle and get the baby back to the breast. So why start it in the first place? It can be done. It can be done with efforts, but it's tough. So why start it in the first place? In case you're not able to feed directly from the breast, baby is not breastfeeding directly. So people tend to give this bondla, which is very common in Maharashtra. But it is really dangerous because it has this sharp like beak, which can really injure the baby's gums. Not to be used. Second thing people use is vati chamcha. This is good, but it can only give less amount of milk. How much are you going to give with this? So maybe for the first 2-3 days when the milk is less, it's called as colostrum, it's okay. But after this, quit the chamcha, just use the cup to feed. It's very easy. You'll get good cup feeding videos online. I'll also send some here. All you have to do is sterilize this cup, sit the baby on your lap, you can support the neck, take milk here, just keep it at the bottom of the baby's lip and just turn so that the milk touches the tongue. So baby will drink like a cat. You are not supposed to pour it, because if you pour it, this also becomes the bottle. It's going uncontrolled in the baby's mouth. So you just keep it here. Just turn so that the milk touches the tongue and baby will finish it in 2-3 seconds. Take milk again. Keep doing that. Keep doing that. And for the baby to breathe, in bottle, baby stops to breathe because there's so much milk coming. Swallow, swallow, swallow. No breathing. Baby can go in apnea, which means stoppage of breathing. In this, that can never happen because your baby is continuously breathing through it. So you can also stop and keep it at the angle of the mouth for some time for the baby to breathe. This is cup feeding. Best. Learn it. Another way is Nifty Cup. This is a form of cup that was created by PATH, which is an international NGO that works on health issues. In this, what is needed is coordination. You need patience and you need to keep coordinating it like this. Sometimes health workers don't have the patience. In this, all you do is put milk in the bigger reservoir and just keep it horizontal. And when the baby drinks from this small reservoir, just press it so much milk comes here. Baby drinks, it's over. Keep pressing this. Keep pressing this. There is no coordination needed. All you need is to just keep doing this. This is called as a Nifty Cup, much easier for health workers, much easier for caretakers. Nifty Cup available in 250 rupees. You can just get it online. So this is two methods of alternate feeding. Another method for mothers is something called a supplementary nursing system. So this is a bottle that has formula or expressed breast milk. You just wear it here. It's available through Medela right here. And there are 2 tubes here. So this tube just goes and sticks on your breast, right? And your baby breastfeeds from here. So even if your breast doesn't have any milk, your baby is actually drinking from the milk, but the milk is actually coming from the bottle. Because of suction, it will keep flowing into this tube. So what is the advantage? Why do this? It maintains the breastfeeding bond. Right? The baby is not breastfeeding from this bottle with uncontrolled flow. Baby feeds on its own through this. And this will also cause continuous stimulation of the breast to increase milk supply. Now, this is a little costly, so we just make a simple system at home. You just pierce the neck of the, so this is an infant feeding tube. So like you just pierce this, you just pierce the nipple, and this is inside milk, and this is the infant feeding system. So like this. So it's just kept on your bed or on the table. This end is stuck to my breast, and I just get the baby to attach. So this is called as supplementary nervous system or lactation aid. So my baby is actually getting, let's say you have insufficient milk supply. So your baby gets both breast milk and expressed or formula from this. Once my, let's say 200 milk is over, your baby continues to finish the formula. So the importance is my breast gets stimulated, my baby the bond is maintained, my body improves the milk supply, and the hazards of bottle are kind of bypassed. So this is called as lactation aid or supplementary nervous system. Very easy to make it at home. So that's something. And the last thing is syringe feeding. So for some, you can also try syringe feeding. So just attach this to the syringe, take milk here, and your baby is feeding from here. Just keep pressing this. But syringe feeding is not that safe because you sometimes can press the whole thing, right? And it can just go too fast. So these are some of the alternate methods of breastfeeding. India was one of the first countries to have an extensive maternity law. Even the US doesn't have it, and India is better than that. I mean, India has provided 6 months of maternity leave paid. It is being followed in all government institutions, but not in all private and private sector institutions. And it's extremely important that everyone gets it, because if you're talking about 6 months of exclusive breastfeeding, you're getting the mother to work from 3 months. How are you going to ensure this? It's really difficult for the mom. Even let's say she has to start working at 4 months, 3 months, 6 months. Do you want to start giving formula? No, you have a choice to express breast milk, store it in the freezer, go home, go to work, and a caretaker at home, instead of giving cow milk or formula, can give your own express breast milk. How do you do that? So you have an expression. So first method of expression is of course hand expression. It's a very simple method of push back, compress, release. You just pump it out with your hand in a katori. And of course, sterilization is important for these dabbas. You just boil it for 10 minutes and air dry it. Don't wipe it, because then you're again introducing infections. Air dry it, store it in a maybe in a 50 to 100 ml steel containers, which are also sterilized, 10 minutes boiling and drying. Label it. Put a label here, date, time, and ml, so that if you have series of dabbas in your refrigerator, then you use the oldest one and you keep finishing it like that. And how do you refrigerate? So it's generally said, if you have a double door fridge with a separate freezer compartment, you can store your milk for 6 months, 3 to 6 months in the freezer, in case electricity doesn't go. And in the bottom fridge, in the top compartment where you keep milk, at the back end, you can keep it for 7 days unless you've removed it. If you keep it at room temperature, it's around 4 to 6 hours. We generally say in winter 6 hours, summers 4 hours. So if your baby is just going to use this milk in the next 4 hours, why refrigerate it? So if your milk is in the fridge and it's cold, how do you warm it? So you don't put it in a microwave or heat it. Now, it destroys the proteins. Microwave will cause some hot spots. It's not uniformly hot, so your baby can get burnt. So just take a bowl of room temperature water and just keep it in this. Probably in half an hour, it'll come back to room temperature. But if you don't have the time, and ensure the water doesn't leak into the dabba. But if you don't have time, just take some warm water in a bowl, rotate it for maybe 5 minutes. It will come back to room temperature. Before giving it to your baby, put it in the katori, check it at the bottom of your, at the back end of your hand, so that you know it's not hot. It has to be at room temperature. And that's how you feed it to your baby. If you have a single door fridge with the freezer compartment inside, then that storage is for 2 weeks. So this is how you can store milk. You can carry these pumps to your office, right? What are you going to do for 8 hours when you're in the office? The whole principle of milk supply is demand and supply. So if for 8 hours you don't remove milk, your breast shuts down milk supply, right? So pumping at your workplace at least every 3 to 4 hours. I would prefer three, but 3 to 4 hours at your workplace, and store it in these steel containers. Take them with you, put them in the freezer of your office, and then take them home in an ice bag. So like pulse polio ice bags, you can just create something like that, a thermocol with lots of ice packs, and just carry them home and immediately put it in your freezer. So it also ensures your milk supply, and it also ensures that your baby continues to be on on express breast milk feeding. Now, these are some of the ways for working women, which needs a lot of society support. Employers and government and everyone needs to really support the moms in this. So some of my concluding comments are: you can have a near perfect breastfeeding journey if you receive the right support from your government, your community, your employers, your family, your husband, your health workers, your lactation consultants. Can you see the amount of people who need to be supportive to this mother to be able to complete her breastfeeding goals? So, first ask is to the community to provide this to the mom. Because if the babies are growing up with perfect breastfeeding, they are growing up with excellent health, so less expenditure on healthcare, and excellent intelligence. So your workforce in your human resource is really developed. So breastfeeding is a great investment for the community, for the employers. If you support a mother in breastfeeding, she's going to hang around with you, and she's going to ensure that she gives the returns that you have, kind of invested in her. And for the family, it's a child that just doesn't fall sick. It's a child who does well in studies. It's a child who has great emotional development. So supporting the mother in her breastfeeding journey is not just for her personal goals. It's for the family, it's for the community, it's for the country. And that's why it's one of the most important things we can do. A mother who's had an excellent breastfeeding journey has a great sense of self-esteem, and she just feels so good about herself after having completed the journey. So let's do that. Let's all get together, step up our efforts to help breastfeeding moms.